or any other veterans down. So even though I felt I wasn't ready for it, I took it and ran with it.
Nice. And how did you get involved with VFW?
So I am not involved with the VFW in the sense that I'm not a member yet. I go to a lot of the events. They support a lot of the civic events that you see going on, so like flag burning ceremonies, stuff like that. And just like Nate mentioned, other funding drives that they have. So I kind of participate the day of, but me personally, I'm kind of waiting to pick a VFW. I feel like, as cheesy as it sounds, it's like one of those like find your right match kind of a thing. There's VFWs in every neighborhood, and I've heard, they all kind of have their own flavor and aspect to them. So like, for example, the one in Coronado, like luxurious, huge, big. Imagine the buffet meals there. The one that they have in Oceanside, like long time serving, pretty well established. A lot of the people that we know in the community go to that one. So I have not selected a VFW yet. I just kind of participate with Nate whenever we have the podcast there. And I think I've helped out with a birthday party or two, I think.
And I have to interject real quick. He said flag burning, and I just wanted
some people might take that as
right. It's really a flag retirement ceremony.
Go, yes.
So when a flag is old and tattered, so it's a flag retirement, and we burn the flag in accordance with the rules and regulations. So yeah, it's not really a flag burning.
Yeah, it's not what you.
Whoa there, Antifa, slow down.
Yeah, people might think otherwise.
Good catch.
And that was my first time at a VFW. I didn't even know what that was until I went there. Are there any other organizations that are similar? Or kind of serve the same aspect? And
absolutely,
what exactly are they?
So within the building that you visited in Santee.
And are they all bars?
No.
Okay.
So the VFW, it's actually it's not, the VFW doesn't have a bar.
It's just connected to.
There's a canteen, and so there's other organizations that are involved. So there's, for instance, at our location, there's the VFW, there's the American Legion, there's the VFW Auxiliary, American Legion Auxiliary, there's the Department of American Veterans, there's the VFW Motorcycle Club. There's, I think there's
and this is
American Legion, right? American Legion Riders. Yeah, there's so many different organizations, and whether you're a veteran or a supporter of veterans, you're welcome there. And they do a lot of good work. It's really cool.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And what other like organizations are there that kind of serve as a counterpart to a VFW?
American Legion is the biggest one that serves as the counterpart. Yeah, there's also the Sons, the VFW Sons, where let's say you weren't a VFW member, but you were a son of somebody who was.
Gotcha.
Or there's the sons, there's daughters, there's auxiliaries. So whatever organization you feel most at home with, if you can't be a member because of certain criteria, you can usually get involved with one of the auxiliaries, and then they'll get you in that way.
Yeah, it's when I found out after going to Active Valor, and I found out all the other vets doing all these other things as well. It's like a whole new world to me, because I was like, I was never that involved per se in the military aspect, like military life, because I mean, there's some people who live, breathe, and die that stuff. They when they get out, they're trying to be in those types of organizations, or they already knew because they were so involved while they were in. And I don't know, I just never fell into that category where I knew about all these things that I know there's other organizations that help veterans and people transitioning and stuff like that, but I didn't know it was that big. I didn't think it's a whole nother world. It's pretty amazing.
For what it's worth, I didn't know either. It wasn't until after I got out and getting involved in the student veteran organization that you kind of learn about the other organizations that are out there in the veteran world. So it's not a silly question. I think it's one of those things where it's their focus is not unfortunately, their focus is not being present in active duty eyes. They serve the veteran community. But if only the active duty folks knew that they were about to become a part of the veteran community, hey, check these people out. You're going to want to talk to them in a few months. But no, I agree. Not that many people know, but that's why I said if you want to get involved in your veteran community, go to one of those. I mean, Nate just named off like 8 different institutions inside this one building that I counted. So it's the place to go if you want to get connected and get involved.
Yeah, because I remember transitioning out, you have to, I don't know how it is in the Army, but in the Marine Corps, we have to attend these classes that show you, like, here are the things that are available to you as a veteran that you should probably take advantage of when you're getting out so you're not homeless or you can get a job immediately. And a lot of them, from my recollection, is just simple, like, oh, here, we'll help you write a resume, or here, we have jobs. You can apply at a job here if all else fails. But there was nothing there to tell us, like, hey, there's VFWs here. These are factions. These are different places that American Legion. These are organizations that are helping vets. If you want to get involved, you can also do that and possibly get a job. And I think I feel like a lot of people would benefit from knowing.
And it's one of those things where even if they, because I want to say maybe the TAP classes when you transition out, I'm sure it's one of those things where they like briefly mention, but the whole day you're just staring at a PowerPoint presentation, and they do a bad job maybe because they don't know how to do better, but they don't do well enough at captivating that audience to say, hey, like, this is why you need to check us out when you get out. This is why you need to get a membership and find a local VFW that you can align up with.
Is there any, from you being a part of a VFW, is there any focus on stuff like that? Or is it more, I mean, granted, I'm sure there's a ton on your plate trying to do a bunch of moving parts, but for people who are active in the military, like we were saying?
Yeah, there's always outreach. There's different. That's not my forte right now, but I know there are guys that focus on outreach to active military, for sure.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on about to be finished with the podcast, so just some closing statements from either one of you. I've been trying to implement this thing on the podcast where it's like, what is a problem that you see that needs to be addressed, and how do we address it? It could be anything minuscule, something huge, something that you think that you have a really good idea about, but hasn't been implemented in a certain way, either with politically or just anything small or big.
Okay.
Off the top of your head, if you have anything.
I don't know. I guess top of my head, I think some veterans need to stop using PTSD as a crutch, and they need to just look within and realize a lot of times it's not PTSD. It's I didn't coin this term, but I really like this term. It's a lack of traumatic stress. Because a lot of us, we go through the training, and in training they're shooting at us, and we're getting bombed, and we're getting punched and kicked, and we're dragging ourselves through the mud, and then we get used to that, and then we go to combat. We get used to that because when you're in combat, that's exactly what you're faced with, and then that's your norm, and then that's your norm. You're on an adrenaline rush, for your whole combat experience, and then you come back to civilian life, and you don't have that, and then it's that calm before the storm. You're like, hey, what's going on?
You're wired.
Yeah. So, and then they use PTSD. They say, oh, it's PTSD. Well, I think a lot of times it's not. It's the lack of traumatic stress. So I would say, don't use that as an excuse, and just get out there and be get into exercise, get into physical fitness again. I kind of said that to myself, and I've recently gotten into a physical fitness routine, and I feel that it's really helping. So I tell other people they should do the same.
Yeah, there's a lot of outlets that people claim to have PTSD, but I really like that. That's the first time I've heard that, and I can completely agree. you're wired a certain way, so you're expecting something constantly, but there's nothing that's going to happen because look where we're at, you know?
Right.
We have this nerfed world around us, and for most of the part, us in training and stuff like that is just, it was never nerfed. So we're constantly have our head on the swivel. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. What about you, Juan?
What problem? So this one just came up top of the head, like you just said, based on something that we were talking about earlier, right? So this is a call to action. Anybody out there that's a app programmer, so it's going to be called Voluntold is the name of the app,
I like
right? And then you select your dates. You know, I want to volunteer today or I want to volunteer next week, and then it gives you options. Hey, Habitat for Humanity has a slot open. Triple B Adventures has a slot open. You know, Kitchens for Good has a slot open, and you select where you want to volunteer. Because just like you said earlier, or like we were talking earlier, sometimes it's hard for people to find what they want to volunteer for. So maybe having a app listing where all the opportunities for people to do based on time or what they'd like to do, their interest. If they want to go volunteer at a shelter, hey, this humane society has a spot opening, but these do not. So don't waste your time there. Go to here. I don't know. Quick. That was a problem I think could and should be solved. Maybe.
Yeah, and you came up with a really good solution.
The name has to stay. It has to be Voluntold.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, having that access, because everybody's on their phone 24/7, to be able to just check a couple blocks and do that, I think that's a perfect solution. You can even set up a reward system in a sense.
Yeah.
Like
you're taking it to the next level. Heck yes.
I mean, I got an Apple Watch on, and when I walk a certain thing, it's like, congratulations, you completed blah blah blah. So I got a bunch of little badges that mean nothing, but the fact that they're there, it's like. And
this could be like a Starbucks gift card after like so many hours or something. Like it can be. Okay, guys, so we're building an app.
All right. Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for that. That's a high note, and I think we're going to leave it off that. If there's anything, how can people find you guys individually, and a little message or something like that you want to?
So you can find me at Nait, and that's NAIT, at tipofthespearrealtors.com.
You can find me at El Wancho, so at EL1, the number 1, CHO. And then again, Triple B Adventures at Triple B Adventures, and then the Mac and Cheese Fest at SD Mac and Cheese Fest.
Nice.
Got to plug all three.
And one more time, plug the podcast and where they can find it and how often it gets up and a little bit of.
The podcast is on kind of every major network, thanks to Nate. Stitcher, Radio Republic, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and that's Triple B Adventures. You should be able to find it. It should have Nate's name on it as the producer. And then the other podcast, FUBAR, FUBAR podcast. And that's FUBAR _.
So it's anchor.fm/FUBAR1. And then the other one is anchor.fm/ the word triple, and then the letter B, and then adventures.
Cool. I'll get all that information from you guys in case people are listening and they're driving or whatever the case is. I'll put it in the show notes so people can read and click on those links and go subscribe and listen.
Nice, thank you.
So yeah, that wraps it up, man. I appreciate you guys coming.
Thanks
I really
for having
enjoyed
us.
Getting a little more detail on you guys, and we're gonna go make that app, and we're definitely gonna do some more networking because I got to get more involved with all this stuff. So thanks for listening, guys. All right, guys, that was our show. I hope you had a good time listening because I had a great time recording. I hope you guys got some pretty good nuggets of knowledge from it. These guys are literally living what we preach here on Positivity, and I'm looking forward to joining them and doing more in the near future with all the volunteering events and networking and making this just a bit bigger than what it already is because they're living the dream. They really are out there doing the work, as you can hear from all the events that they're volunteering from. If you want to hear about the episode that I appeared on their podcast, check out the show notes. I left the links for those, and be sure to follow them on Instagram as well as Facebook. And if you're not already doing so for this podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, share, and go to that bottom where you can rate some stuff and give it a nice rating. It'll help us with getting more on board in people's devices and stuff like that. You can rate the podcast. So you can find us also on Facebook and Instagram at Limelight Highlight, and our Twitter handle is LL Highlight for all good news and positive posts and things of that nature. And if you want to write in